Hello and welcome into Looking Up with Laird here on Sorare TV. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always by Harry Trades and Sam Tighe. Gentlemen, today we were just talking about the Beatles, but we are not going to introduce a Beatle today. We'll probably get to them actually at some point. But Sam had this great idea and we decided to throw it out the window at the last minute. So we're just walking into chaos right here. But just a reminder before we get into everything, if you guys could please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It's always really helpful. We also will be using the Looking Up with Laird on Sorare TV Sorare Data watch list, which gets updated as we do this video. And since this video is not live, if you wanted to get the picks beforehand, you just got to subscribe to that one as well. A lot of subscribing requests today, but it's like one click for each. So let's, come on, settle down and just do it. So I'm going to pull us up into the thing that I like to do every time I pull up the watch list, and that is just to accentuate here that we are the most followed watch list on Sorare Data. I did notice this Summer Mercado one has 182 followers and only one player on this list. Would you guys like to guess? It hasn't been updated since, actually, I guess it was updated last month. Created in July of 2022. Any guesses who that one player is? There's absolutely no way either of you are going to get this, but I'm
I don't like this question. It's just like, this is just a free chance to be wrong. I mean,
yeah, I'll give one hint. And the player, despite being on a list called Summer Mercato, I don't believe actually would be playing football in the summer.
Oh, what, like Yari Vasharan?
Sam, that cuts deep.
That cuts real deep. Man, jeez.
Jesus.
I'm just going to click through. It's somehow Mariano Diaz.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't know what it was about Mariano Diaz that warranted his own watch list.
Yep.
Or why everybody is following it, but there he is. I will give away one thing about this show, Mariano Diaz not being added to the Looking Up with Laird watch list today. However, we do have 4 names that will be going on it. Sam, why don't you lead us off despite not wanting to do your original plan?
My original plan was for me to go back-to-back on 2 players at the same club, but for reasons that we'll get into, that really isn't worth doing. And the good news for all of you in the audience watching, just to let you know that I was the one that canned the idea. I didn't put it forward and these two just dumped it. You know, I was aware enough to realize that this plan that I'd produced did not make sense. So I canned it. But look, we'll get into it. And the first player is Joan Jordan of Sevilla. And this is another situation where I'm presenting a player and I'm talking about a situation to buy into. The situation at Sevilla is this. They've just sacked their manager, Jorge Sampaoli, and they have appointed their third custodian of the campaign, Jose Luis Mendilibar. Mendilibar is not a particularly big name in this sport, but he is famous for keeping Eibar in La Liga for about 5 seasons in a row, despite having basically no budget whatsoever. He kind of worked miracles. So while his career at the top level and at clubs of the stature of Sevilla, traditional stature of Sevilla, hasn't really gone very well, he certainly knows what it's like to be down at the bottom of La Liga. He's got some experiences there. And I think the context of the reporting around the reason as to why they sacked Sampaoli is kind of important here. Reportedly, the players are fed up of him and they are frequently confused by his tactics and his requests and his demands. There have been a couple of interviews with some of the players where they've sort of let slip that maybe some of the players on the pitch aren't quite getting or grasping what Sampaoli is trying to ask of them. And Mendilibar is extremely basic. I'm going to play 4-4-2 and I'm going to press and be really aggressive coach. It's super simple and super consistent. And I feel like Sevilla have tried to lurch from one extreme to the other here and hope that it will pay off. So this is where Jordan comes in. He played for Mendilibar at Eibar. And he had a breakout season and he launched himself into the Sevilla team with about a 15 million euro move off the back of it. So this is a player that the incoming coach has got real experience with. There's 2 others actually in the Sevilla squad who used to play for Mendilibar. One is Marko Dimitrovic, the goalkeeper. I've got to assume that he will remain second choice because Bono is excellent. And the other is Brian Hill. And this was the reason my plan was scuppered. I think he's going to really relish this, but there isn't a lot of point sitting here talking about a player with 3 rares, 0 supers, and 25 or so limiteds. What's that? 28 limiteds. He's not been reminted since he joined Sevilla on loan. So there's just not that much point. But keep an eye on him, sure. But for Jordan, he'll take one of the centre midfield spots, I'm sure. Back at Eibar, he was a bit of a free kick expert. Hasn't really got anywhere near them at Sevilla. Yeah, saw the eyebrows raise up there, Laird. Hasn't really got anywhere near them at Sevilla, but you never know what the coach might do. He might try and run it back and say, go on, Jordan, take a few free kicks like you used to for me. He used to score quite a few, to be fair. And he's quite cheap at the moment. Well, very cheap by my estimation, Jordan. So, again, situation to buy into. Incoming manager very familiar with him. It's very much do or die for Sevilla. And they're still in Europe somehow. Like, there's quite a lot of utility in Sevilla cards somehow.
I think there's some sort of contractual obligation that Sevilla make at least the semifinal of the Europa League every year. So I think you at least have that plus going for him. As somebody who happens to own a rare Marko Dimitrovic card, a goalkeeper change really wouldn't be a problem for me.
Of course,
no. Perfectly content with that move happening. But yeah, I think it's all reasonable. Who's looking down if Jordan is looking up?
Well, he plays. It's not like he's coming out of the wilderness.
Right.
But I would say that Sevilla are going to probably move to a 4-4-2, having consistently played a back 3 of late. So I'd be a bit worried for Nemanja Gudel, who is not a centre back, but he's been playing in the back 3. But I'm not sure if he gets into the midfield, and I don't think he can play centre back in a back 4.
Right.
But it would be a straight shot, I think, between him and Fernando. And I actually own them both. I've bought Jordan as well. I own all 3. I'm just going like, right, well, some of them are going to have to play. I'll just see what happens. I'm a bit worried for Gudel. Genuinely, I'm not sure. Maybe Jordan ends up on the right side of a flat midfield 4. I don't know, but I'd be surprised if that happens either. I mean, you've got guys like Rakitic in this team. You'll need to play. Sevilla have done a lot of playing, not with a proper striker. That's about to come to an end. There's every chance that he uses 2. He's going to go with En-Nesyri and Rafa Mir. So, yeah, I think a lot's going to change here. It's going to be difficult to figure out exactly what happens, but kind of like how we talked about Tarkowski and Sean Dyche, you've got that familiar comfort of someone that knows the coach and knows the coach's system inside out. So to get a running start at this with 10 games left or so, I feel like he'll look to someone like Jordan.
Yeah, I think it's a great call, particularly. It seems like all he needs to do is play regularly in order to improve. We just look at this. There are plenty of DNPs, or he's coming on as a late sub. So if he does sort of lock down one of those starting spots, an L15 of 43 is pretty low. But there's nothing it's not like there's anything that is on the score chart that should make that change drastically in terms of playing him for a cap mode situation. And again, if you have a manager's trust to go 90 minutes, it's going to be better than playing 7 minutes off the bench or 45 or not playing at all. And so the minutes themselves I feel like are enough to push these averages up.
Yeah. If you look at the L15, actually, the last 2 performances, the last 2 scores the last 3 actually that are about to be removed from the window are pretty high. So unless he absolutely destroys it from game 1 in a couple of weeks, he might play pretty well and his L15 could come down even further. That could genuinely happen because he's about to lose those 3 scores at the start, which is quite interesting.
Which are really nice scores to see, non-decisive 72 is a pretty that catches your eye for sure.
For sure, yeah. So a bit more of that, just in a little bit later. Get to that to start with. And yeah, just from an L15 perspective, it's why I ended up picking him up this morning. Not just to put my money where my mouth is, but also just because I was like, well, actually, this looks like a very viable L15 candidate for 5 weeks or so. I'd say.
Yeah, not that matchups against Manchester United are easy, but they're there.
Yeah.
And that's always nice to have some midweek utility this late in the season.
Oh, wouldn't it be nice? My goalkeeper went out in the last round. I'm done.
It's such a killer, that one.
Yeah.
Did you say this was a caretaker situation?
No, but I think it's a contract to the end of the season, so it might as well be.
Yeah.
It is someone from the exterior brought in. He's not been promoted,
right?
But I think he's accepted a contract to the end of the season.
Okay, that's fun. We were talking about different prices. It does seem like the rares are being at least offered in the range where the recent ones have been sold, and the super rares are basically more than double. So you got to be really, really interested in scores L15, 14, and 13 continuing in order to pay up for that. But just something to pay attention to. Mr. Trades, who you got today?
Yeah, I've had to venture away from the MLS picks for a week or so, and I've gone into my own gallery to pump a hold. So we're going to the Brazilian league, and we're pumping Lucas Piton, who, I've held for a while. He was a reward of mine months ago now, and I've just been quite patient with him. He was with Corinthians, or had been with Corinthians, his sort of whole career. And it was a bit of a rotational risk last season. If you go look at his scores, he's a left back, just wanted to preface, but he kind of shared the role quite a lot, and it became unuseful, basically. Like, you just couldn't, you could kind of predict when he was going to play, but it was just a frustrating one. But I held strong, and to be honest, I just presumed that, maybe next season things might change with the same club. But turns out he ended up getting a move to Vasco da Gama, who got promoted to the Brazilian Serie A, basically. And he looks to be, as far as I'm aware from all the games I've seen so far in terms of preseason, and now they're in season, but just not eligible to be scored in Brazil. It gets weird. He's the main left back, and the guy takes set pieces, and the guy gets assists. His scores are going to be quite up and down. There's going to be a lot of variance, but I do think on given matchups, this could become a really interesting summer pick. And picks are, especially under 23 wise, for this summer, it's looking bleak for goalkeepers. It's looking bleak all around, really, right now. Because if you don't have a goalkeeper, you're not really playing, and that that doesn't help me. But ultimately, you've got a left back here that you don't have to play him in under 23s, but he's there. He is under 23, and I think he's a candidate to be a very decent sort of defender option when the Brazilian league kicks in. I think it was April 14th first game. They do play Mineiro actually away, which probably won't be easy.
And then Palmeiras at home, but
Palmeiras at home. But ultimately, I think if you don't want to. If you want to venture outside of the MLS for a little bit and maybe the Argentinian league and look into Brazil, $7 is it for a limited? Like, I don't know. I think there's quite a bit of upside there.
So the Corinthian thing last season was one of the most frustrating lineup projection situations ever. I knew multiple people who before the season started, everyone expected Corinthians to be great. And so they bought all these Corinthian players back. Wasn't Willie on there? Yeah. And everyone bought these guys. And then there was just this mass rotation. It felt like every game or every other game. And it was almost not worth the effort to try to predict them because you just didn't know. And from what I gather, they have a new manager who is not pulling this crap during this initial tournament. And they've been flying. And I will say that I do think that looking at some of the Brazilian clubs now will make you find gems that nobody's looking at because this early tournament is not scored on Sorare. We don't have the stats on Sorare data. And so if you just go to SofaScore, definitely has them. I don't know if I assume FotMob and all of them have it. I know Sofa does. And you just look at who's starting and where the decisive actions are coming from. there's like it's not that much effort, but I think there is like significant edge there to see who is playing now, because it'll give you a better. I mean, this isn't like a few preseason games where they're trying things out. They take this seriously, and you're seeing players play a lot, and they come into the season, what at least what we are considering like the real season, not coming off of a few preseason games, but a legitimate tournament they're all competing for. So they can kind of hit the ground running. And finding a guy like Piton who, like you said, has been starting regularly now, which already is better than what we see on the score graph. And then I feel like Quinny should put in some sort of bell every time we say set pieces. But my God, if he has set pieces as well, I mean, you just realize that there's more decisive action upside because he gets an assist, or somebody heads one of his crosses, you get an attempted assist. Like that's why set pieces are important. Yeah. And yeah, I think this is a good call. And also just kind of a reminder that if you want to take that extra step, there is plenty to learn of available info out there for these Brazilian teams going into the season.
Yeah, it feels like the good time, doesn't it? I've just this week I've got a couple of offers on one of my cards from Brazil that's not for sale. And I'm like, oh, interesting. What's he done then? Can only be good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it gets started in like 3 weeks or so, doesn't it? In terms of Sorare scoring. So this is the time.
There is actually, just to add quickly, there is a Sorare goalkeeper that is Vasco da Gama's goalkeeper.
Really?
Yes, and his name is Leo Jardim.
Oh,
yeah, you pronounce
Jardim. He was at Lille, wasn't he?
Was at Lille, yeah. So looks to be the number one at Vasco, as far as I'm aware.
I had no idea he was there. That's a lot of cards too.
Oh yeah, Jesus, yeah, I didn't even realize yeah, okay, wow. I didn't realize it was 118 rares. That surprised me. But yeah, he's there. And yeah, I watched the highlights of the game midweek against Flamengo. They lost 3-1, but like Piton got an assist from a corner. Like, I don't know, I just think that might be a regular thing, you know. And there was another game in the cup 2 weeks before that. He had like an 8.0 rate, or an 8 rating on SofaScore, for anyone who doesn't know, is very high. Just a load of key passes and an assist again. Just, I don't know, I just think you'll probably end up seeing quite a bit of that, hopefully this season. And then if you can get a Jardim in there as well, you got a little cheeky defensive stack, and who knows. Also the youngster on loan from Chelsea, Andre Santos, the one had an amazing Sudamericana, whatever it's called. Sam have like butchered it. They bought him
the youth tournament.
The youth tournament that just happened, basically the South American one. He scored like 5 goals in 5 games from like midfield. He's basically like a Casemiro regen that's going to be incredible. He's
a regen. That's fun.
Yeah, honestly, he was the captain of the team. I watched a couple of the games, and he's frightening. He can just do everything. It's just not even funny. But he's gone on loan to Vasco. I can't remember who Chelsea bought him from. Sam might be able to give me that info. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to get. I mean, he probably won't get cards, but regardless, they should be decent.
I want to say he came from Santos, but I'm not sure.
Santos from Santos, is it? Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's where I've got it from.
Oh no, I lied. He did come from Vasco's youth. My bad. Okay. Yeah, 14 mil to Chelsea and then back on loan.
They tried to send him to like Palmeiras or something.
I saw that. Yeah, and then there was a lot of conflict, wasn't there? Because they were like, he can't go to a better Brazilian club and all that rubbish. But
yeah, that's fun. I think there's like we said there. I think there's a lot to gain from spending some extra time on the Brazilian teams that are coming up in a few weeks. So for sure,
Vasco are they're my Brazilian team as well. So very welcome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Pirates, isn't it? So it's good fun.
Yeah.
Sam, who are we adding from this list that is not from Sevilla?
Well, I'm going to buy into another managerial change situation, and we're going to talk about Mark Gay from Crystal Palace, who is now managed by Roy Hodgson. 75-year-old Roy. He had retired 18 months ago or so. Patrick Vieira had been brought in to push Palace on into a new direction, new era. They're affectionately nicknamed Crystal Palace Culture Club in England, for those of you who don't know, because they went out and signed Michael Elise and Aberi Eze and like a load of exciting players, and they tried to sort of rehabilitate their image as something quite cool, quite young, quite interesting. And now that there is a whiff of relegation, they have returned to 75-year-old Roy Hodgson. So Crystal Palace Culture Club is cancelled. Memberships have been frozen. Look, Hodgson is back from retirement because he was bored, apparently, and he's going to take the job till the end of the season. You all know what to expect from Hodgeball, right? Defensively conscious, probably quite difficult to watch, but probably relatively effective. And he'll just focus on trying to keep clean sheets and then try and get Will Zaha into some good situations, maybe 3 or 4 every game, and let's just see if he can take
Hope for the best.
Yeah, let's give it a go. But he knows the squad, he knows the surroundings, all that stuff. I was going to pick Zaha here, but I have this horrible feeling that he is going to go to Saudi Arabia in the summer. So I'm not doing it. Yeah, I should, look, it's just a feeling, but his contract is up, and there's no, it genuinely might happen. Just be careful. So I'm going to pick a member of the defensive line instead, who should improve. And if you go to his scores, like, considering this is a man who hasn't won a game this year and has kept just 2 clean sheets as like a baseline, these scores aren't exactly offensive. And I know this is not how it works, but just go ahead and add 10 to all of those for a clean sheet, and then just see if you like the look of it, because I do.
Is that feature like available yet?
Let me just click that add 10 button to the turn all orange to green, please.
Yes. I mean, look, they've got 10, 11 fixtures left. They'll be looking for hunting for clean sheets. They'll be defensively conscious. I reckon they'll get some. Maybe they get 2 or 3. Even without clean sheets, he tends to get to around 50. Add a clean sheet, and you might be looking at something quite impressive, genuinely. And I just want to point you to the run of fixtures. Just scroll up slightly, Laird, because Palace have got basically every single team in and around them in the relegation zone, from all the way through. Like, go past that, go for the whole season. Like, it's just all of them.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going to play all of them.
Wow.
So obviously these are going to be pretty high stakes games, which, might be a bit nerve wracking at times. Tottenham and Fulham are the only ones that are just way beyond their level. Everyone else is in amongst it. But I would spin this as, like, their capacity for clean sheets, is pretty strong. Their capacity to get absolutely spanked feels very, very low. So again, I feel like the floor on Mark Gay is quite high. And if Hodgson does his usual thing and has his effect, I think the ceiling has just risen.
Looking at that makes me wonder even more how you make a managerial change, knowing that your upcoming fixture list is on the weaker side, but that's neither here nor there. I actually want to even go back to the add 10 to all of these, because it really should be 14, because you get -4 for every goal. So we have a player here who's basically in the 65 to 80 range every game. For the
Every
game. For $13 for the limited, it seems like
for a guaranteed 65.
Guaranteed 65 without decisives. Like, you get the clean sheet, but this is, one clearance off the line, and we're heading to hundreds here. So
100%, yeah. I mean, look, in all seriousness, the ceiling rises. He's got some lovely under 23 utility move for several years.
Yeah,
he's a guaranteed starter in the line. I can see Palace becoming a bit more solid, and those decent enough scores becoming actually pretty good. So this is a situation I quite like as well.
He was at Chelsea.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I mean, since we're kind of going down this path, do you just look at the entire back line as improving because of Hodgson? Or it's funny, I'm looking at these names. Nothing makes me realize how far separated I am from the Premier League because of Sorare, like before it launched, that I'm looking at some of these guys and I'm like, I had no idea they played for Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And yet some of them have been there forever. Schlupp and Zaha and Mitchell.
Ward.
But like,
they've all been there, yeah.
Yeah, Milivojevic as well, kicking
Yeah.
around somewhere. I mean, you could probably take your pick and say that everyone, if it goes to plan anyway for them, everyone gets a bit of a boost. Tyreek Mitchell is interesting, but as with fullbacks, possibly quite volatile.
Yep.
Joachim Andersen is also quite interesting in that regard. Czech Decore should continue to be very good. Don't know about the rest, but there's 3 or 4 that you could probably bank on. I chose Gay because I like his scores already, so
Sure.
I feel like the floor is higher, and therefore it feels a bit safer. And the under 23 element does help. He's got more on the under 23 element than Mitchell, who I think runs out this year, maybe next year. But Gay's got more, and Andersen is like 26.
Mm-hmm.
And even just, I think you could simply say he's the better player.
Yeah. Pedigree-wise, you'd have to argue, wouldn't you? Coming from Chelsea.
Possibly, yeah. Andersen is good. That's the thing. They shouldn't really be in this predicament because they are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
There you go.
But they had too much fun, and therefore, Vieira's out.
Yeah, precisely. Just on the Zaha thing, by the way, like I don't know, but he's definitely got an offer. He's got an offer on the table from a top Saudi club. Not that matters. Like it doesn't matter which club in Saudi Arabia he goes to. He is toast on Sorare if he goes. But it's a good offer, obviously, and it's for one of the better teams. And while he probably will, his contract comes up. Well, he probably will get an offer from Newcastle, and I think he'll get one from Aston Villa as well. Arsenal might offer him 4th choice winger. Like there is genuine risk there. I really feel like that.
I don't know anything about this, but I've had many conversations with people about the possibility of the Saudi league getting covered. And I think a lot of people just sort of expected it when Ronaldo went. And I feel like that talk has completely dried up. And it's probably because nobody knows, like, is Ronaldo killing it over there? I have no idea. I would assume not, because I feel like every time he does something good, there are just tweets everywhere. Like, look what he's doing.
I've seen a goal and an assist in different highlight packages. I've seen 2 clips. What was interesting though was this is very off topic, sorry guys, but I was watching a bit of Monday night Portuguese football as you do, Casa Pia. So I was watching why Yuki Sommer, he missed a big chance and got subbed off. But I was watching it. I had the stream on at half time, and on Portuguese like sports TV, they're like proper broadcaster. They broadcast all of Ronaldo's games in the Middle East. I mean, he is their god, right? He is like the Portuguese god.
I guess if you're going to have a country that will show them outside of Saudi Arabia, it would be Portugal.
For sure, yeah. Like I would imagine they would broadcast Messi's games in Qatar if he went there in Argentina because he's the hero. But yeah, they had it on like coming up this week. It's like we've got Benfica, we've got Porto, we've got Al Nassr, we've got this. Oh, wait, what? What was that last one? There you go. Huh. There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, I just wouldn't rule it out.
Yes.
I don't know anything. Again, like
at the moment, it carries risk.
Right, for sure. Okay. Harry, over to you for our final name this week.
Yeah, so I've switched it up for the first time in 19 episodes, and I've gone for a player that's not under 23, Laird.
Is this really the first one?
I mean, it must be, right? It's got to be. Oh, did we start off doing... I can't remember. Did we start off...
If only there was a way to know all of the players.
Surely we did, no? Actually.
It's... Anyone who is not under 23, I know, is automatically Sam's.
Yeah.
But it could be true.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any here. And now I'm sort of wondering... I mean, this player must be amazing if it's gotten to the point where after 18 episodes and 1 pick, you finally reach an over 23 pick.
Well, there's obviously a bias there then, isn't there? Because this player is a Welshman. And he goes by the name of David Brooks, currently at Bournemouth, who has had a really tough couple of years, right? Diagnosed with cancer, I think it was 2020.
It sounds about right.
And 8 months of chemo and and recovering obviously after that has meant that, you know, he's missed out on a lot of football. And yeah, no one, you know, it's a rare sort of thing to happen to a sportsman in general, really. And you can kind of just like, in a sad way, like disregard them in a way. You just think like, how are they ever going to be the same in that sense? Because David Brooks, like, I mean, you could say is, but before whatever happened, like, was phenomenal in the sense of like, I mean, there's a couple of really nice scores there, but just like how he sort of came through at Sheffield United and how he sort of, you know, helped them, you know, get success in the champ and whatever, and then in the Prem, getting his move to Bournemouth, like, and coming through as like a young Welsh kid, like through the same time as like he was kind of around the same time as like Ethan Ampadu came through, but Ampadu's a little bit younger. It was like the same generation, and like it was like him. It was Ampadu, Brooks, and there was one other that kind of all made their debuts really like around the same, basically like the same game. And it was like, okay, we've got like a Ryan Giggs regen here. This, like, that's kind of how it felt in terms of how he played. Like, you know, not to speak on Ryan Giggs' name in any positive manner anymore because he doesn't deserve that. But you know, when Brooks kind of first made his debut for Wales, I think it was a bit later. It was like 2021, and we just thought, wow, like this kid can play. And, you know, there's scores there to back up what I'm kind of saying in that sense. And obviously I'm going to be biased as a Welshman. But last night, David Brooks played, I think he only played 45 minutes for the development team, but scored a 37-minute hat-trick in a 5-2 win at home. Obviously, it's his first goals and stuff since sort of coming back from injury. He's looking sharp. He looks in great nick. Like, he was always quite slight, and he's very athletic. Obviously, you know, going through what he did, you know, made him put on a bit of weight. You just go into, that's how your body sort of reacts to these situations. And, you know, it's just how you have to get through them. And he looks like, I've not seen him train, you know, day in, day out. I can't say that. But from what I'm just seeing, he looks in really good shape. And he's, you know, he's made a few substitute appearances, or maybe just the one, is it, against Villa? Since coming back. Yeah. So like, you know, there's no data to back this up, right? But all I know is David Brooks is a phenomenal football player, or was a phenomenal football player. And I just don't see any reason why that can't happen again in that sense. On top of that, right, Bournemouth situation, you know, if they go down, you've got a David Brooks in the Championship, and where those dark green scores you got on the screen, I'm pretty sure most of them were in the Championship, and we've seen he can play at that level. And he's probably, I think he's too good for that level. It's hard for me to say that now after the 2 years he's had, but ultimately I back him to be able to replicate any of that form again, if given the chance. You know, Bournemouth have some big assets that I don't know if they could keep hold of if they went down. And ultimately there could be a chance for David Brooks to be the sort of shining light, to be like the leader in that sort of attacking role that, you know, they give him, whether that's off the right, left. He can play in the 10, can kind of play anywhere really. Very versatile, great left foot. Wouldn't be surprised if he took a few set pieces, if I'm being honest. And I don't know, I just think that there's just a real possibility of a top player in here. And I think he £2 on auction on in limiteds. There's 101 limiteds right now, 7 rares. I am one of the rare holders. They haven't really. I bought him ages ago before I even heard about him coming back. So that was just you know, a strike of luck. He was £20. Like, I can't leave him there for that, right? But there hasn't been. I bought the 6 of 100. There's 7. They haven't minted any more since, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a chance here that, you know, you could fall into a really good situation and buy into just a really good story, man. Like, there's something beautiful about this happening. I don't know what it is, but maybe I'm romanticizing it because he's Welsh. But I don't know. I love it. I really do.
I almost feel like the design of this card was meant for this Bournemouth shirt. Like the, kind of like like lightning bolt in the back kind of looks like the one in the front.
That's so weird. You said
it's a beautiful card. I'm not gonna lie. Well,
what's the blue one? What's the blue one look like? Because there is one super. Does that look remotely okay? Like okay.
I think the Premier League design looks really good on the supers. I like any. I really like it.
Yeah, I agree. So Brooks, I'll do a quick story, even though we're going a little long. So Brooks was like a DFS star for a little bit because DFS is always about set pieces. And I remember back when he was, before everything that happened, Ryan Frazier was like the set piece guy at Bournemouth. And I had a lot of conversations with people who thought that Ryan Frazier was just simply a terrible footballer, but because he had set pieces and he did all the things that got you points in these games, he was one of those that it was like, no, he's really good in the game, but he's actually not that good of a footballer. And like, I don't have nearly enough experience I know when someone's really good and when someone's really bad. And I didn't feel either way about Ryan Frazier. So I was like, he could be good, he could be bad. I don't know. But his scores are good. And then he went out and it was like, man, who takes over? And everyone was like, I think it might be Brooks. And the guy was incredible. Like, he was really good. And then obviously the cancer situation happened and nobody had any idea. I mean, he didn't know what was going to happen. And so it's like a remarkable recovery. And like, now that he's back playing, it is really special. I can't really see a situation where if they go down, he doesn't stay with them, because I don't know how many clubs are vying to get him anyway. He hasn't played that much. And while he may be too good for the championship, maybe he's so good that he brings them back to the Prem. And so there's that whole storyline. But I do think David Brooks is a good footballer. I don't know. I still have no idea about Ryan Frazier.
I don't either.
I think Brooks is a good.
I think Fraser's okay.
Yeah,
There you go. He's all
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
He was pretty fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very fast.
He
Very
was
fast.
pretty fast. Yeah. I mean, Brooks is great. Like, he had some real Premier League highlights, didn't he, when he got promoted? Like a couple of like give and goes, and the way he used to carry the ball and sort of run at a kind of diagonal back into the box. It was really, really good, really impressive. That Eddie Howe side was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping the best for him. And yeah, I mean, look, without wanting to sound crass, but like if you were like as another club, if Bournemouth went down, you would not spend big money on David Brooks right now because he spent too long out of the game. You would absolutely let him do a season in the Championship, and then reassess that in a year's time. So I feel like it's almost guaranteed, really, that if they went down, he stays with them. And then, given they'd have to sell everyone else, key player. Look at that. We've all talked ourselves into rooting for Bournemouth relegation.
To help David Brooks' career somehow is the But yeah, no, I like that call a lot. And like you said, or like we brought up, it's just a good looking card. Sometimes you just have to buy a card because it looks good.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Forget everything else. Just spend money on things that look nice.
Aesthetics.
Anyway. So just a reminder, you can subscribe to this watch list. It's just, if you just go to the watch list feature on Sorare Data, just search Looking Up with Laird and it is there. I still feel very weird that my name is in the title, but these guys made me do it. So looking up apparently wasn't good enough. So anyway, if you could please like this video, much appreciated. If you could please subscribe to the channel as well. Sorare TV, slowly moving up. Could move faster, so that's where you guys come in and just tell all your friends to subscribe, even if they don't watch the content. That's all we need to do. So we'll be back next week with 4 more names. Episode 20 next week. We have nothing special planned as of now, but we'll see. Who knows?
Never know. You never know. Could change.
Who knows? But yeah, gentlemen, thank you for that, and I'll talk to you next week.